Good evening, everybody. We are back with Little Nightmares. Hopefully concluding it. I think we might be near the end. I think, at least from a suggestion that I got from somebody, we're actually very close to the end. They kept it appropriately general, so we probably could have finished it last night, but I think you guys know what the deal is with backseating, and one way that I can sort of get past... So, like, one of the things about this playthrough that I'd like to do, especially for a game like this, is, you want to show the experience of solving kind of the puzzles or going through the levels and such. And unfortunately, if somebody just outright tells you how to solve a puzzle, and that was a particularly egregious one, so for those of you who missed it, and definitely the VOD's not going to show the statement, after I said to Lady Dow, generally I prefer doing this stuff on my own, but if you have a small hint you want to give, I suppose just for this once, that's okay. But like, I had been very clear in terms of where backseating is. Everybody kind of knows the deal, and just completely ignoring all of that, just comes on in and says how to solve it. So one way I've kind of found how to deal with that, which is not an ideal solution, by the way, of in terms of like doing a cast for people. But if I stop playing the game and give it a day, usually I will not, I won't be focused too much on what people say. Now, in the end, I think, you can't unring a bell, right? So if somebody tells you how to solve something in a game, I don't think you can ever really say that you're completely immune from it, right? And if, I don't have my mod inside of the channel, that's going to create problems. Like, there's just simply no way that I'm going to not see something like that. But with that in mind, we will continue on from the thing that I haven't done. There is actually something I thought about kind of on my way walking home today, on my way to do this cast. So we'll think about it. If nothing else, I think I've sort of understood a little bit in terms of what's gotten me here. But we'll take a look and see what's going on. Now, for those of you who are new to Little Nightmares, first of all, this game, I was given sort of a promo key from the fine people at GOG.com. Now, this feels like it's a little earlier than where I was at, but we'll take a quick look. Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure I remember where I am. So, smashed mirrors are a thing that's sort of continuing on as a theme in this particular level. Little Nightmares is a platformer. I just got to reorient myself with the controls. Okay. It's by the people who made Little Big Planet, and I think sort of the style of the visuals kind of maybe it isn't too surprising for people. I think it's called Tarsier Studios. It's a tremendously enjoyable game. I think until we hit this point, somebody had commented that I was kind of figuring out the puzzles quite quickly compared to other streamers that people were watching, which is, I suppose a bit of a feather in my cap. But I think the more important thing is not so much to toot my own horn as it is to just say that it is possible that for those of you who are watching the VOD or who are kind of interested in terms of roughly estimating a play time for this game in your own case, assuming of course that you're not sort of paying attention on how to get through all of the different events, this may be underestimating the play time. I do know a complaint about this game has been that it might be a little short. I've always thought that's a weird complaint about games because there's plenty of times where I think games kind of overstay their welcome. Actually, I think that was a complaint people had about Alien Isolation, which I've not had the pleasure of seeing yet. By the way, I'm wondering, these paintings here are obviously the art style of this leans towards the grotesque, but one thing I'm wondering about the lady is whether or not the mask is hiding a particular disfigurement. There's a lot about there's definitely a lot about sort of hiding images, and she's behind a mask, so we'll see about that. Anyways, so the game is it's got a wonderful art style to it. It's a very compelling environment. It's got a bunch of little surprises and interest inside of it. The mechanics are fairly straightforward. You navigate you navigate around. You try and solve sort of the little puzzles that come as a result of your size and what the sort of the game gives you. And the problem that we're running into right now is we've got the lady over here who we've seen before. But pretty much whenever I cross the threshold, she's going to hear me. There we go. All right. Now, I don't hear any creaks or something like that. However, hey, Holly Makes a Wish, good to see you again. So there is one thing that I was thinking about. And I think this is actually... So we've been trying to get past this for a while. And I've sort of climbed up onto different clothes and, and some, I've tried a few different things here. Nothing seems to be kind of giving me what I need. Now, there's never been a point in this game where it sort of locks me in a room without the tools that I need to solve the problem. I'll try and show you what I've done here. So I think there is actually something I missed with the sort of the blind, long-armed character who sort of chased us at the beginning of the game. I'm really bad at making that jump. If my hypothesis is correct, we're not actually supposed to do this. So the game will definitely give you some places that you can go, or at least try to go, without putting a lot of so it'll give you some options in terms of locations that may or may not actually give you you may not be able to or the locations that you go to don't accomplish a whole lot, is what I'm trying to say here. But the game doesn't usually give you a lot of things which are like, oh, you need to go back 3 rooms to try and recover this item here, which will solve it for you. So the idea here is that whatever I need for this is inside this room. And the mistake that I think I've been making, so you've got the carpet here where the sounds are quite soft. Now, if I go close to the threshold, you can hear the heartbeat, which is the trigger of the game that you're in danger. Now, we of course know that if we cross the threshold, that we're kind of taking our life in our own hands. And the humming might be covering this, but you can hear me knocking on the wood here, right? So let's actually get away from this sound, because I think the thing that I missed... we're going to go straight down. I am sort of padding this out a little bit to give people a chance to come in, but it's not bad to sort of divorce this from the sound. Okay. So you can hear the footfalls here, right? Now what I noticed is my crouch, and the footfalls are a little bit more quiet. Now I don't know if that's going to make a difference, because this has only really been introduced as a crouch and slide. But given the fact that we don't... So, again, there's nothing here for us on these levels here, at least as far as I've been able to find. And it would be uncharacteristic of the game to solve the puzzle through, through picking some things up here. There's a couple of cases where you might get something from, one room away, but this would probably be the furthest that I need to take some piece into the environment. So what we're going to do here is, and again, the possibility is that if I had been a little more careful with the janitor on the crouch, and that if the crouch is in fact a sneaking mechanic, then it might have been possible that the janitor couldn't hear me. I'm calling the guy with the long arms the janitor, because he's walking around kind of cleaning things. But let's see. I might just trigger the attack, but we'll see. Okay, so we've made quite a bit more progress than we normally do. And I'm gonna guess if I stand up, I go by. So this is actually a lot simpler than it needed to be. You can just sneak by. I take the blame for most of this one, because there clearly was some point in the game, like there's lots of points in the game where you have to work with the fact that, you know, you have enemies that can hear you, and I'd been able to solve all of them through other means. So I think probably in this case here, I'm hearing a sound. So in this case, I think I failed to realize that this is more than just crouch, that it's a stealth thing. On the other hand, though, like in terms of the controls, it says it's how do I put it? Am I imagining this sound that I'm hearing? I'm gonna guess I have to knock over this vase, but anyways, so in one sense, right, I've got you know, I kind of have to acknowledge that I messed up on realizing what this was, because I mean, in the end, all that it was just walking by the lady. That's not a particularly challenging puzzle. On the other hand, though, I definitely did not appreciate within the context of the game that was a sneaking mechanic. So anyways, we're gonna push this. Okay, she doesn't seem to be reacting to that, so... Now, what isn't obvious is what waits for me after... Okay, so she's gone, which of course means that she's going to show up at a very inconvenient time for me, no doubt. We'll try and complete. And I think I've missed some of these statues before, but no point in not going for the... There we go. They seem to be just some kind of an achievement thing going on here. Hey, Johnny Big Time! How are you doing, my friend? How much of this did you get to see yesterday? I'm going to assume you missed the scummy backseater. Alright, I'm kind of curious why the lady just vanished. But I do hear her song. One thing I'll say, so for all my, Hey, MC, how you doing? Nice. I don't know, Johnny Big. The really funny thing about this yesterday, there was definitely a point where I got stuck, and I think it was because of my lack of understanding of one of the... Oh, crap. Run for your life, little girl. Nope. Okay. So I think we just lose this race. Oh, nope. I was too slow about it. Oh, I think that's her in the background there. Now they all look like her. This is, I don't think this is intentional, but this is actually a lot like the ending of Stanley Kubrick's movie Killer's Kiss, where there's a fight in a mannequin factory. It's a really well done piece. Oh, is that a mirror? Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna guess that we need to show this to the lady, because notice here, right, in her room, definitely her thing was shattered. In this place, every single mirror is shattered, and the a lot of the portraits are covered. I'm pretty sure that's her. You must look. Oh, okay. I'm boned. MC, that would be a great idea. The character design is so good. All right, so I'm still not abandoning this hypothesis that the mirror is what I need, but I definitely need to find a way of showing herself. So I can't just run in and like, it's kind of stupid of me to assume that I'd just be able to run in holding this thing. The game usually just doesn't give me stuff like that on a silver platter. Maybe a mirrored platter. All right. Interesting. Okay, we're on to something. So I gotta find the light. Okay. I think I just gotta find where she's coming from and point at her. Yep, okay. We got this. What is weird, though, is that it doesn't seem to be her reflection. Like, it actually seems like it's channeling something. That's a neat... Oh, interesting. This is a fun little encounter. Like, this is... what interests me so much was I was babbling on about the game, but it really pulled me into its world right away. That's, I think, one of the things I like the most about this. And, like, this is just a... This is a really fun encounter, just in the fact that you have no idea where she's coming from. Oh, cool. What are you going to watch, Johnny Big Time? I'm guessing maybe Guardians of the Galaxy? Oh, yeah, sorry, I should have paid attention. Okay, so I think we won that encounter. It's the black liquid again. Am I gonna eat her? I'm pretty sure I know where this is going. Yeah, I never go to the movies with people, Johnny Big Time. We did, Johnny Big Time. So one of the things that you missed, one of those gnome guys offered us some food the last time we were hungry, and we actually pushed the food away and ate the gnome. So every time that you've eaten, it's become increasingly more violent and like increasingly more uncomfortable. And I found out actually the original name for this game was Hunger. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that, but there's definitely something that seems to, like, this definitely seems to be like a pretty big change. Like, it's one of the first times that we've actually been we've actually overpowered an enemy as opposed to outwitted them, and now we seem to be messing with the lights. All right, so are we just gonna telekinesis all these things into? Oh Jesus! All right, so apparently we're just absorbing everything. Alright, second time we're going outside. I wonder if this is the end. It definitely feels like this is just going to pull back and the doors are going to close on us, leaving us wondering what the hell we just saw. Which is actually a big shame for me because I literally just started. Man, what a cocksucker for finishing the last puzzle for me. Anyways, that was a really cool game. I'm really sorry, guys, for the fact that you basically just got to see 15 minutes of the end. But yeah, that guy who backseated at the very end is my least favorite backseater. I have no idea what to make of that ending from a story point of view, but this is a really great ride. I really enjoyed that. I'm definitely... Like, so I think one of the things for me is I don't know how much of this to just sort of take as... Okay, cool, MC, thank you. Yeah, Johnny Pigtie, after I said to Lady Dow that I like solving things for myself, he outright said how to solve what turned out to be the last puzzle. Like, we easily could have finished that game last night. I just stopped playing because I'm like, you know, if I give myself a day, I'll solve it. And like, as it turns out, it was actually a very simple puzzle, and I just misunderstood one of the controls in the game. But yeah, that was actually why they were a follower too. They actually unfollowed the stream when I banned them. Yeah, no, MC, I didn't even time them out. It was a straight up ban because, like, in this case, like, I am conscious of the fact that I don't list rules on my channel, and one of the reasons for that is that I don't like, as a mod, I've always hated litigating the rules with people who get timed out. And even now, right, like when I time out people, when I ban people, I get private messages while I'm casting. And those usually turn into bans because there's never a point where it's like, okay, well, you know, you screwed up. And apparently, rather than just accept the correction and bringing it up in chat like a normal person, you're now going to talk about it right then and there. and inevitably it winds up being worse. And I mean, I'm obviously not going to be a very sympathetic audience after I've just timed somebody out to listen to their complaint. But this guy, like, basically, when Lady Dow said, I think I have an idea about this, and I had originally said, well, I'd kind of like to solve this on my own, but I said to her, in this case, if it's just a hint, give me a little bit of something that we'll get back to talking about the game, but for those of you who are wondering why we're just picking up at the end, I said, it's like, okay, well, usually this opens the floodgates, but you know what's up, like, don't solve it for me, but if you have something you want to contribute, let me know. And Lady Dow's like, no, you can do this on your own. I respect your decision. And this guy just blurts out the solution. Like, there could not possibly be a less ambiguous case. So, like, here, I think most people who's backseating here are still going to get a 10-minute timeout, because as far as I'm concerned, that shouldn't need to be instructed, right? That is something that you do not go into a stream on the assumption that the streamer wants to be told how to play the game. Because when I watch streamers and people tell them how to play the game, I dislike it. But like in that case, there's no ambiguity in that situation. That was somebody deliberately going out of their way to ruin the game for people. So in any case, let's focus on the positive. The Little Nightmares. So first of all, I want to whore myself out, but two, it's worth mentioning. I did get this from the GOG.com people. Wonderful streaming team, wonderful digital platform. I believe. Yeah, so actually, Johnny Big Time and I had this experience in Mike's cast where we were both talking to each other about how to solve the problem in the background. Like, we did not tell Dynamike how to do it, and it was very enjoyable. Anyways, so this game's currently on GOG. Well, it's on, it's on all the digital platforms. I will encourage you guys, if you liked this game, if you want to buy the game because of this stream, I mean, you're going to buy it on the platform that you want the most. I would ask that you consider GOG.com. There's a couple of reasons for that. It is a DLC free version of the game. It is also, they've got their fair price policy and their return policy, which are always good. It's a great platform in my view. I'm Canadian, so I do have it in Canadian dollars right now. It's $25, $24.99. That puts it at around the same price as Sunless Sea. So I will say that it's a shorter experience than Sunless Sea. It's a very rich one. So the way that you can sort of think about this, there are games which are maybe simpler in their mechanics or simple in their visual style, and they have sort of a very long, kind of a long play time because of a few different varieties and different paths that you can go down. Little Nightmares is different from that. What Little Nightmares does is it focuses on a very concentrated and a very hard hit. There's some really powerful moments in the game. It's got an absolutely gorgeous visual style. It's got a very compelling atmosphere and feeling. Just everything about this game was really enjoyable and really atmospheric. Now, if you're somebody who says, I have to have a certain playtime for this, that would be one time that you want to maybe be a little cautious on this purchase. But I will say, at least as far as GOG is concerned, if you buy it until May 12th, so you've got a little under a week now, it will come with the game inside. So, which I actually got with that sample key that I got for myself. So, in terms of me, I am incredibly enthusiastic about this game. It is a little on the short side, but I don't consider that to be a negative. Especially because if I consider the actual experience of going through it, I mean, number one, people were saying that I was kind of getting through things pretty rapidly, so you may not have the same experience. Like, the one thing I liked about this game was the logic of the game seemed very apparent right at the start. Again, I like artistry. I like atmosphere, and I like compelling visuals. This game has a lot of those, and it's not just it looks good, but it's got these great moments in it, like especially a lot of the feeding sequences and such. I found those really interesting and really exciting. So it's probably one of the most visually compelling games that I've seen, and it's more than just, it's Unreal Engine 4 and they spent money on the models. Just everything about it works very well. A lot of people were comparing this to Hayao Miyazaki movies, which I can see the comparisons. So in terms of who likes it, if you like definitely if you're the sort of person who likes unique or sort of very sort of one-off games, ones that sort of stand out on their own. So like, here's a great example. Spec Ops: The Line is one of these ones which you can say, yeah, you cover-based third-person shooter, but there's really nothing like Spec Ops: The Line. Like, if you say, I like Spec Ops: The Line, I want another game like that, you don't recommend, just any shooter, right? Looks like we have an epilogue, so I'm going to shut up for a little bit. Thank you for playing. So that's one thing that I can definitely say. Let's take a quick look. Sometimes the names of chapters will reveal a little bit about the game. Oh, interesting. So it doesn't actually... It basically just says... Okay, so the way that the game seems to be broken up, so there's sort of I'll call the prison sequences. There's escaping what I'll say is the janitor. I think that's right, because he's, again, he seems to be cleaning everything. And I think somebody in chat referred to him as that. There's the two chefs, which really seemed to be, the real tour de force. There are the guests, and then the lady at the end, and kind of the ending. All right, so I missed one statue and two gnomes. I missed all the gnomes and one statue. I didn't get any of the statues and any of the gnomes apparently here. That doesn't seem right though, because I feel like I smashed at least one statue. Yeah, so I definitely left a lot undone in this game. I'll have to go back. I don't think I'll do this on stream just because I don't know, I enjoyed it, but I don't feel like I need to redo the whole experience right after. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, you can't really just say any cover-based shooter is going to be the next appropriate comparison to Spec Ops: The Line, and I think it's a similar case here with Little Nightmares. It really does seem to be something that stands on its own. There's a lot of questions that I sort of have about the story, so I don't know what the little slime beasts are about. I can sort of understand the creatures. All of these seem to be pretty consistent in terms of the way that they behave. I maybe understand the lady a little bit less. But the important thing is, it's fun on its own. And I mean, the name Little Nightmares, it can follow its own fairy tale logic, right? Nobody's going to complain about that. So yeah, I mean, you have to like platformers. You have to enjoy sort of a little bit of puzzle solving, although I don't think this game is especially taxing in that regard. Let's take a look at the concept art. Oh, you only unlock 2. Okay, fair enough. So, interesting. Now, this doesn't seem to have come into the game, but this looks like a sequence where I'm cleaning one of the monsters. I guess we already did these credits. But yeah, so I mean, you have to like a bit of puzzle solving. You have to enjoy, at least like the style of platformer. I will say, so it doesn't seem like a big Metroid. I don't really know the genre Metroidvania that well, but it really doesn't feel like you have a whole bunch of, degrees of freedom in terms of where you move. It's a little bit more of enjoying the experience and navigating these environments. El Canoe, how are you doing, my friend? We actually just finished Little Nightmares, so I'm figuring out what to do next, but I have a couple of ideas, so... But yeah, so in that sense, I mean, there's a little bit of buy-in that you need. You need to be, you need to accept that you're going to get a very concentrated but very enjoyable experience. You're going to... Now you're done, I can stop by. Excellent. This is a wonderful game, El Canoe. We're actually just kind of going through it. And hello, everybody from El Canoe's channel. I actually need to figure out what I'm going to play next. I got a couple of ideas. I really should go through some of these... Oh, El Canoe, somebody came in and spoiled the very last puzzle for us. I actually stopped playing last night because of that. So I basically would just kind of have a day to forget it. But our playthrough of this was literally 20 minutes today because it was actually the very last moment of the game, effectively. That's not entirely true. There's a bit with a mirror. So I guess it's the second to last puzzle. But yeah, I was very annoyed with them. But yeah, the less said about that, the better, because I know you want to play this on your own. I strongly recommend... Oh, thank you so much, El Canoe. I really appreciate that. By the way, guys, El Canoe is also an affiliate streamer, as is Johnny Big Time. I should be shouting them out, but I should probably pick the next game pretty quickly. But I do want to finish sort of the best recommendation I can make for Little Nightmares. So like I said, the barriers to entry, or at least the things that you'd want to be clear about, you have to be okay with, puzzles, even if they're very minor puzzles. Like, I don't think there's anything in here that really, made me rack my brain and try and figure out what's going on. And again, if you don't enjoy platformers, if you don't enjoy going through those environments, especially 3D ones where perspective sort of matters, you're going to have a hard time enjoying the experiences. But as long as you're okay with those two things, there's really nothing quite like this. It's a beautiful looking game. The art style is magnificent and very consistent throughout. It's got some incredibly potent visual imagery inside of it. Easily the most enjoyable part for me. And again, if you pick it up on GOG right now, you can get it with Inside, which seems to be another really interesting story. I haven't actually played it, so I can't give a huge recommendation on that one. But that's one of the biggest things that I can say right now, is that if you're concerned about this is the duration of the game, in addition to the fact that that link above will help support me as a streamer and support GOG and the developer, so all three entities that I think are very much worthwhile. I think one of the things that appeals to me the most about this is that if you get Little Nightmares right now, then you get another game Inside, and I think that does a nice job of sort of counterbalancing the concern that is an experience that's relatively short compared to other games, i.e. Sunless Sea, which is available for the same price. Is it really worth it if it's shorter than that? And of course, the fact that you get another game probably answers that. Although, of course, I've also talked with a couple, I won't say names, but I've talked with a couple of people who said that they thought that Sunless Sea was actually too slow for them. So having a longer game isn't necessarily the best. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's a better thing. Anyways, guys, I really enjoyed this. I'm sorry for those of you who came in just for Little Nightmares or who didn't get to see the earlier moments, but we are done with it. I'm going to take a quick minute here to shout out Johnny Big Time, who's an absolutely outstanding caster, very funny guy, does a variety of games, but has been playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn recently. He is one of the most clippable streamers that I've ever seen. In fact, if you just go to his channel and check out his clips, I would encourage you to follow him. But he is... I actually have Contrast MC. It's by the guys who made... or who are making... what was it called? We Happy Few. But yeah, Johnny Big Time is somebody who I could watch play anything. If you guys are not following her, you need him, and you need if you need convincing, click on the clips button. He is absolutely incredible. He's probably my biggest reason for doing streams late has been Johnny Big Time has been streaming, and I just simply can't pull myself away. On top of that, we have got Elcanu, and I actually can say some very hey Melee Mage, how are you doing? I can actually say some very similar things about Elcanu as Johnny. In fact, they're probably in some ways the most similar recommendations I can make, because again, I really love watching Elcanu for his sense of humor and his abilities at the games that he plays. He's been doing Dark Souls recently, which has been I know that wasn't today, but I've been quite compelled by watching him go through that game, as indeed I am by just about anybody I watch playing that game. But I came to Elcanu because he is a French caster, and he streamed Satellite Rain, which a lot of English casters had not done very well, and I actually wound up buying the game specifically because of his cast. You cannot MC, unfortunately. I think that would have been a cool touch. I actually tried to do that. I tried to do that in the title screen as well, or not the title screen, the final image of the game, but it didn't turn out that way. Anyways, Elcanu is another outstanding caster. Again, if you're on the fence because you don't speak French, check him out. He is actually wonderful, specifically because of the fact that you do not need to understand French to find his stream entertaining. And for that reason, if you're a caster, I actually recommend checking out his cast, because you will see how much of entertainment can be done through nonverbal communication. So anyways, guys, I have a game, and actually I think it's a game Elcanu might have played, but I think it'll be an interesting sort of platformer follow-up. Have played. Oop. So if you can just give me a second here, I need to do a very quick setup. I might actually stop the stream and start it up again, just so I can make sure that I have sort of my VODs categorized correctly. But let me just take a quick second and get this all sorted out. Okay, I think I can work with this. So yeah, I am going to do a very quick sort of stop the stream, start it up again, just so that I can categorize the VOD correctly. And we're going to play a game called Dead Cells, and this is something that I was given just a. It's one of these things that kind of came out of nowhere in terms of recommendation, in terms of just saying, like, hey, we've got a key if you're interested, and it looked pretty interesting. So let me just, again, I want to make sure that everything's tagged up properly, because I don't want to spend too much time on the transition. This is actually available May 10th. I'm sorry, Elcanu. I thought you had actually played this already. Anyways, guys, I'm going to turn off the stream for a quick second. I'm going to be back as soon as I can, okay? See you in a little bit.